Howdy on Wolfbox Lives. I think it's time to play a little Some Days Die. Alright. I'll get you some food. No I won't, because I don't have anything. I'll get you some lamb rations. I actually am eating. Not sure how this eating stuff works now. There's no, like, indicator of what's happening that stays on my screen, so maybe I ate, maybe I didn't eat. I don't know. I did something. uh, yeah. Speaking of eating, I totally, totally think I got a touch of food poisoning yesterday, or something. What's this? What's this really close to me? White arrow over here. That must be a quest. Not today, white arrow. Not today. I mean, maybe later, but not this moment. Uh, but yeah, we were uh, we got fast food for lunch yesterday, and I think we probably ate lunch about 1:30, and then about 5 o'clock, I just felt like I was starving. I'm like, I shouldn't be this hungry already. I don't often feel hungry, so uh, when I feel hungry, I imagine that I must be super hungry, and uh, but we were watching a show, and so I didn't stop it, and then uh, we went upstairs, and my nephew just puked everywhere, and then after that I started feeling nauseous, which is why I think it was a touch of food poisoning because I mean it was we ate at the same time when we both started. Well, my sister too started feeling ill all around the same time, so I'm pretty sure it's the lunch we ate. And so I did not eat last night for dinner. Felt fine today though, so I didn't puke. I don't puke. That's not true, but I almost never puke. Um, right. It's like I wanted to give this guy some more food. I was trying to think. I think it's. Oof, we've been here like 9 years. I've only puked once in those 9 years. I'm pretty sure. Maybe twice. Maybe twice. It's a weird subject, right? It's a great topic. Just everywhere, up the walls, across the floor. There were chunks and lumps, and I remember when I was a kid. Uh, I must have been 10 or 11, somewhere in there, and this stuff makes me so mad. And there's no reason to even be mad about it, but it makes me so mad. Uh, and I want to say, if I remember correctly, the way it went down was this: we had one can of tuna fish, and so I made myself tuna fish, and my brother was sick, and so he saw that I was having a can of tuna fish. Like I made tuna fish sandwiches, right? And so then so then he said that he thought maybe he could eat, but the only thing he wanted to eat was tuna fish. Um, because he knew it was the last can. And so I'm like, no, I made these for me. Oh, I'm sorry, I already got a job. I want to look at your inventory. And so he threw a fit, and my mother made me give him my sandwiches. He didn't even like tuna fish as well. On top of that, and so then he eats the sandwiches, and then he vomits them up all over the floor. And my mother made me clean it up. I hate that. I hate it. I hate all parts of that story. I hate it. That stuff has happened to me multiple times over my life. Where there'll be something I want, and then uh, and I'm like, oh well, just give it to him. But it's my thing. I'm the one who did it. I'm the one who got it. I'm the one who doesn't matter. Just let him have it. Oh, what's that? Now they've ruined it. Well, you know, too bad for you. So sad. I I know it's petty. I know it's petty, but still. I We were talking the other day. This guy I've known since kindergarten, um, and we were talking about school, and we were talking about times that we got in trouble at school that we really didn't do anything, and how his kid is going to the same school, and some of the same people are in charge there, and the same thing is happening to him. And when I went to school there at one point, my mother was my teacher, which is not fun. Maybe I guess it probably depends on your mother, but for me that just meant that I would get, well, I mean, I wasn't really ever someone to get in trouble like that, but if we got in trouble at school, she would just take us in the room and spank us and stuff. Uh, and So I remember I was telling this one story. So it's one time because his kid. Let me see if I can remember what he said. I'm not gonna remember. I'm not gonna remember what happened to his kid. Something happened where it was an accident, and uh, uh, multiple people were involved, but only his kid got in trouble. And so I was like, oh man. So there's one time we had this. This has nothing to do with the story, but we had this game that we played called box hockey, which is weird. Um, and so there's like a heavy wooden box, and it's like made out of 2x6s, right? And so if I can remember correctly, I think there's like two holes in two spots, one hole in another spot, and then the spot to get a goal. So it's like a box, and on each end of the box is an opening, and then there's a divider, equidistance on both ends, and that divider's got like two holes in it, and then there's another divider in the very middle of the box, and it might have three holes in it, and so it goes goal, two holes, three holes, two holes, goal, and then you use these little they took like wooden sticks, like pretty thick wooden sticks that were had like a curve to them, and then you use a hockey puck, and you drop a hockey puck in there, and then you try to fight it through the little holes with your sticks to get your goals. And anyways, that has a little bit to that has nothing to do with this story. just the fact that those boxes were there, and I was I don't even remember what the deal was, but I wound up walking next to this guy, and um, I think we were kind of not like fighting, but shoving each other, and it had been going on for a while. And he shoved me, and I put one of my feet into the edge of that box, and it made me fall. And so, of course, when you fall, you grab for whatever. And so he had these red cloth gloves that he wore all the time, and like the really cheap like gardening gloves, and but they were red, and so I got a hold of his hand as I was falling, and the glove tore. And so then, of course, when he went and told on me, it became that I shoved him down and took his gloves and tore them. Uh, and of course, because it's my mother, she believed him. And so, but all that happened was I fell and grabbed for something and got his hand, and his glove got torn while I was falling. It wasn't even a big deal. But then it became a big deal because uh, my mother decided we were fighting, which we kind of were, but not in that way. And and so then because I was fighting, then I needed a spanking to cover the fighting, because I went to a private school that had pretty harsh rules like that. And then uh, she made me take my allowance and buy multiple pairs of gloves so that he could choose. That was weird. I'm pretty sure I stepped on a little piece of wood there, and it just made this sound like everything was falling apart. And and so at the time, I had a pair of gloves that I really liked, and she knew it. And so we bought like, or she made me buy like, I want to say 4 or 5 different styles of gloves. I did it again. And and she also made me include my favorite pair. Uh, and and so like we bought 2 different styles that were identical to what had got ruined. And so of course when take the gloves in, that's the pair he takes. And then that night he fought his dog while wearing those gloves, and the dog tore him. Yeah, they're gloves. I don't even care about them. I don't even care. I don't care that any of that happened. It's just a story that I remember. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember what that's like. I know what it's like. That's how my brain works. That's the stuff I remember. All the little petty stuff that anybody ever did to me. I mean, it's not all petty, but hey, dude, you think we can have points to get that motorcycle going today? Uh, let's see. Oh man, I was disappointed today. So I have the I'm the only one that really uses it, I guess, but um, my account that I play, or the guys who I play D&D with use it as well. but I pay for a D&D account on the digital D&D thing. I can see you. Why can't I grab you? Where where am I supposed to go now? I mean, I don't see a ladder or anything. That's just that. Oh, I found it. I found it. So, oh no, this is where I came in. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Never mind. Never mind. We go down. I got confused as to what was going on here. It's alright. And so I keep it up to date with the new books that come out. Not all of them, because there are some books that come out that I have no interest in. For example, I'm not a fan of Rick and Morty, and there's a Rick and Morty D&D book, and so I did not buy that. Not that there's anything wrong with liking Rick and Morty; it's just not my cup of tea. And and so it's a little sillier than I run my D&D or the D&D I want to play in. So I did not get it because I don't need the silly. Because I don't want to play the silly. And there's nothing wrong with not wanting to play the silly. There's nothing wrong with wanting to play the silly. As long as your group agrees. And so yeah, so I didn't get that one. But they announced the new one today, and I've been anticipating. I really, really, really want a book on Dark Sun. I really want to release a new book on Dark Sun. And they keep saying that they're still working on it. And so I saw today was uh, new new book release. I'm like, ooh, a new book. All right, new source book even. I'm like, ooh, is this the Dark Sun source book? Let it be the Dark Sun source book. Come on, Dark Sun source book. No. No, it was not. Oh man. It was it looks like it's gonna be I mean I pre-ordered it today, but reading the descriptions of it, it's a Greek mythology style book. It sounds like to me. And which is a far cry from the Dark Sun series. So, Dark Sun, which I really want to do a campaign. I mean, Dark Sun is out there, and there's probably ways to convert it from. Yeah, I need the anvil. I was just looking at that. I didn't have the schematic for the anvil. Oh, I just put one of those in my furnace because we got that last week. Um, but so Dark Sun is set in a dying world, which is probably why it's called Dark Sun, and uh, like sorcerer kings, immortal sorcerer kings have basically fought. I mean, it wasn't just the ones that are in the book, but I believe some of them were involved um, in basically destroying the world, and so almost nothing's left, um, and so it's a giant wasteland with roving bands of monsters and um, very little in the way of uh, very little in the way of supplies. or anything like that. Raw resources are pretty much gone. Um, I like that you waited till I punched that, and then you just died. Storage containers. I didn't realize what I was looking at until we got up here. And, ooh, I'm getting low on health. And so, it's a little different than your standard game. So, like, they've got, you've got hobbits, right? Only in D&D they're called halflings. Uh, but if you never played D&D, you don't know that a halfling is a hobbit. But a halfling is a hobbit, right? And so they're pretty similar to the hobbits. But in Dark Sun, because there's no resources, and most of the world's been destroyed, the halflings have pulled back to, uh, huh? Do I not have a wrench on me? I don't see one. The halflings have pulled back to like the last remaining forests in the world, and have turned cannibal. you know, and so they're not part of civilization anymore. What civilization is left? They are ravenous, bloodthirsty tribes of cannibal halflings who guard the forests and eat anyone who comes into their territory. All right. And I was hoping we'd be done with this. And so so it's a bunch of stuff like that. No, there's barely any metal. Most things are made out of bone. Because bone comes from living things. They're still living things. I don't know how they eat. I guess they must have to survive off of just magic at this point, for the most part. Um, most of the most of the places are full of slavers, and the cities run off of slavery. Um, and the wastelands outside the handful of city states are just deadly. There's no water. I mean, there probably is some water here and there, but it's like Dune, basically. And so I always thought that it might be cool to play in a setting like that, and I could probably do it myself. I mean, my home campaign is about to head into something like that. Only it's not as bad. It's terrible in Dark Sun, and I've always found it to be an interesting read, I guess. What am I supposed to do now? Yeah, that was a great jump, guy. Whew, the best jumps. You had the best jumps there. Uh, like I see there's a ladder down, but I guess I'm supposed to go down here. This is a really bizarre building, I tell ya. Okay, so we've gone down. Then we'll go across. There's a military truck down there. I don't know if I've seen that before. Then I guess we'll go back up here. And so I was really, really hoping for the Dark Sun. Magic is rare too. It's not like your standard D&D game where you know, you could play a wizard. Um, Wizards are feared and killed on sight and illegal kind of thing, you know. So you could play one, but it's going to be super dangerous. And so, because magic is basically gone from the world, um, uh, the magics that do happen are psionics instead of magic. Um, Psionics being mind powers instead of, spells. And and so I did see that they've recently had a whole bunch of psionic stuff in the. They do what they call UAs, Unearthed Arcana, which is their beta testing of new things. And so they are currently beta testing psionics, a warrior psionic class, a rogue psionic class. I'm playing a bard in one campaign, and there's a great. I'm gonna die because my gun. Okay, I didn't die. I guess I've got a lot of hit points. Did we win? We didn't win. Oh, I missed one somewhere. It says. Is it that one down here that I saw? Uh, there's one on the ground down here I saw earlier. Where did you go? Oh, that's not the ground. I did see this one on the ground, though, earlier. It's still down, though, right? Yeah, I don't think I've seen one of these military trucks before. No. Thought maybe we'd find some cool supplies in the back, but nope, just an empty transport truck. Where are you? It's weird. There's like a room. Is it from this other place over here? I don't know. 7,000, 1,200. Um, but yeah, and then I opened the link today and it's like heroes and satyrs and minotaur, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not Dark Sun. I wanted Dark Sun. Yeah, the group that I'm running, they have successfully stopped the train from being destroyed, and are preparing to. Well, they've been taken into custody. Obviously, you attack people in a public area next to the where the military is forming up. Uh, you might get in trouble, and so they've chose to allow their weapons to be removed, and they are uh, about to be placed on a train headed for where they wanted to go anyways. Um, the guy they're being taken to knows who they are, so Once they get there, they'll get their stuff returned to them. Uh, they, they were going to that place anyways, so I just thought, well, no, this is what I thought. This was my thought process. Uh, the train was going to be sabotaged. The four people who went to sabotage the train look like maintenance workers. Um, the people at the train have no idea who the player characters are. They're too little. They're not earth shakers yet, right? Like you get some renown, like people are going to recognize them who've been involved with them, but it's only been a couple of days in game since the campaign started. I think we're on like day 11, right? And so 11 days is not enough time for anybody to know who you are, um, unless they're involved in it. So like the main city council sent them on a mission because they were low level. A couple of them are low level members of the main organizations, and so they are technically still low level members of the organization. Um, One of them is not a member of any organization, and so nobody's gonna know who he is. Unless it's somebody that's worked with him before, and so then they do these things where they're like, "We're important," and I'm like, "You're not. You're not though. You're not important. You think you're important, but you're not important yet. We're getting there, but you're not there yet." And so they maybe after the next major quest, people will start to recognize them. But so they go to a place they've never been, and then they expect the people there to interact with them like the people who know them have been interacting with them. So I've been trying to disabuse them of the idea that they're just gonna get their way, and uh, but it's kind of funny because like they heard a rumor in the shop, and they didn't investigate the rumor. They just took the rumor at its face value. It's not true. It wasn't accurate. And then they went and demanded to see the mayor so they could tell the mayor uh, about what they had heard. Well, the mayor doesn't know who they are. And anything important is probably already transmitted to the mayor. And so they demanded to see the mayor. So I let them see a deputy mayor. And because the information that they said they had sounds important, but nobody knows who they are. And so they talk to the deputy mayor, and then he's like, "Ooh, an army's invading. Well, we've received word. We've been gathering supplies to send to the front where an attack has occurred, and you're telling me there's another army." Well, no, the rumor they heard was about the initial attack, and they knew that, but they told the guy that an army was marching, but it's the army that's already engaged. So I don't know why they thought they needed to tell a city that wasn't involved with it about it. Um, and so they got sent away. So then they go to the train, and when they get to the train, there's a lot of turmoil at the train because the being that everything is they're in a civilized area, but it is a post-apocalyptic world, and so they don't have things like cars and airplanes necessarily anymore because nobody really knows how to make the technology that powers them. And but one of the things they do have is this maglev system that's got two trains running in opposite directions that they use to transfer stuff between the cities. And so right now, one of the trains, has been commandeered by the military to move soldiers and goods to the front line. Well, this has disrupted like local merchants, and so they're not happy about what's going on, and so they come into the middle of merchants arguing with the soldiers over whose goods get to be loaded on the next train. Um, and so I think that's suspicious, right? I don't know if I'm gonna make it here in time. I don't know what time it closes. I feel like it's probably already closed for the night. The door is closed. Yep. Dang it. Well, I mean, it just turned nighttime, so I'm gonna go ahead and head home then, which is off in this direction. So while they're there, they see these four guys, and they decide they're suspicious. I mean, they were suspicious, and I let them know they were suspicious, and then they didn't check anything, which is a little weird, and so they lucked out. So I'm gonna have to do some suspicious things where they're not what they think it is, and uh, I don't want to punish them. I mean, they didn't get lucky. They just I don't think I played it out very well, and I should have made it a little more. But how do you do that, right? I mean, it's like they failed their stealth checks. They're obviously getting seen. I think I mentioned this before. I'm just gonna have to make sure I detail more about what's going on, so that little things that they aren't aware of just are things that are going on. Um, and but Yeah, so they attack these guys at the train station where the military is, and battles are really fast in D&D. So, like in the space of less than 30 seconds, this battle's over. And so the military, of course, is there with guns when they finish, demanding they, you know, drop their weapons and uh, place themselves into custody, or else they're going to be fired upon. And so they do, and so then the guy's like, well, I would have killed you. I'm within my rights to kill you because this is, we're in war footing, and it's clear that you just tried to sabotage the train, or were, because we just witnessed you attacking maintenance workers, and they're aware now that they weren't maintenance workers necessarily, but they still don't know who these guys are, so they're going to take them to the front lines. But the general has met them because he was involved in preparing the mission that they went on. And so when they get to the front lines and get taken to the general, along with the other stuff that the explosives, I guess, that they acquired, then I'm gonna have him send them on a. I don't know. I need to learn the term for what an irregular group sent on a military mission is called. Um, but yep. All right. Well, I am gonna call it here. So click like if you like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one. I will talk to you later.